Lisa Grant stepped off the transport ship and into the docking bay of Veltar Prime. The space station was huge, bigger than anything she had ever seen. Metal walls stretched up high above her head, and bright lights made everything look clean and sharp. The air smelled different here, like metal and something else she could not name. She carried her bag over her shoulder and looked around. This was her new home for the next 3 months. The United Earth Defense Force had sent her here as part of a cultural exchange program. She was supposed to learn how other species fought and share human tactics with them. A tall, green-scaled creature walked toward her. It had yellow eyes and moved with quick, sharp steps. This was a Zephyrian. Lisa had studied their species before coming here, but seeing one in person was different. The alien was almost 7 feet tall and had thick armored skin that looked like it could stop bullets. "You are the human officer," the Zephyrian said. Its voice was deep and rough. "I am Sub-Commander Hexstar. I will show you to your quarters." Lisa nodded. "Thank you, Sub-Commander. I'm Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant." As they walked through the corridors, Lisa saw more aliens. Some were Zephyrians like Hexstar, with their green scales and quick movements. Others were different. These had 6 legs and looked like giant insects. Their bodies were dark and shiny, and they moved in groups, always staying close to each. These were the Krill. The Krill work as a team, Hexstar explained when he saw her looking. They share thoughts with each other. It makes them good at fighting together. They passed a large window that showed the space outside. Lisa could see other ships docked at the station. Some were human ships, but most were alien designs she had never seen before. The station was a meeting place for many different species from across the galaxy. "Your quarters are here," Hexstar said, stopping at a door. "The commander will see you tomorrow morning. Get some rest. You will need it." Lisa's room was small but clean. She put her bag on the bed and sat down. Through the small window, she could see stars and the distant glow of a nearby planet. She was far from Earth now, farther than any human had ever been on a regular basis. The next morning, Lisa reported to the command center. It was a big room with screens showing different parts of the station and the space around it. Officers from different species worked at various stations. The noise was constant. Voices speaking in different languages, beeps from computers, and the hum of machinery. Commander Vextel stood in the center of it all. He was the biggest Zephyrian Lisa had ever seen, with darker green scales and scars on his arms. His yellow eyes looked at her with something that might have been curiosity or doubt. "So you are the human tactical officer," he said. "I have heard about your species. You are good with technology and planning. But can you fight?" "I can fight, Commander," Lisa said. Vexthal made a sound that might have been laughter. "We will see. Your species is ... soft. You think too much before acting. In real battle, thinking gets you killed." Lisa did not respond. She had been warned that some alien species saw humans as weak. She would have to prove them wrong, but not with words. Over the next few days, Lisa learned how the station worked. She attended briefings and training sessions. She watched how the different species fought and learned their tactics. But she also heard what they said about humans when they thought she was not listening. "Humans are slow," one Zephyrian officer told another. "They wear armor because their skin is weak. They need weapons because their claws are dull." "At least they try," the other replied, "but they hesitate too much. They think about every move before they make it. In battle, you must act fast or die." Lisa was walking past a group of Krill when she heard them talking in their clicking language. She had learned some of their words during her training. "The human female watches us train." One clicked to the others. "She studies our movements. She learns because her species cannot fight like us. another replied. They must copy others to survive. Humans are puzzle solvers, a third added. They are good at fixing machines and making plans. But when blood flows, they freeze up. Lisa kept walking. She had heard enough. These aliens thought humans were weak because they were not covered in armor or did not have natural weapons. They thought humans were slow because they took time to think before acting. They were wrong about both things, but Lisa could not tell them that. She would have to show them Captain Jake Morrison was the only other human on the station. He was older than Lisa, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been here for 6 months already. Don't let them get to you, he told her over dinner in the human section of the mess hall. They mean well, but they don't understand us. They think we're weak, Lisa said. They think we're different, Jake corrected. And we are. They see strength as big muscles and thick skin. They see speed as how fast you can run or strike. But human strength is different. Human speed is different too. What do you mean? Jake smiled. You'll figure it out. Just remember, we didn't get to the top of the food chain on Earth by being the biggest or fastest. We got there by being the smartest. And the most dangerous thing about humans is that we can make anything into a weapon. Lisa thought about his words as she walked back to her quarters. The corridors were quieter now, with most of the stations. Crew asleep. She passed groups of Zephyrian guards on patrol. They moved with quick, aggressive steps, always alert for danger. She also saw Krill maintenance teams working in perfect coordination. They moved like parts of a single machine, each one knowing exactly what the others were doing without having to ask. Both species were impressive in their own ways. The Zephyrians were natural warriors, fast and strong. The Krill were perfect. Team fighters, working together like a hive mind. But Lisa was starting to understand what Jake meant. Humans had something different, something that might be more dangerous than either natural weapons or perfect teamwork. The next morning brought news that would test everything. Reports came in of pirate attacks in nearby sectors. The station's security forces went on high alert. Lisa watched the alien officers coordinate their response. They were efficient and professional, but she could see the way they looked at her. In their eyes, she was still the weak human who would need protection if real danger came. They had no idea how wrong they were, and Lisa hoped for their sake that they would never have to find out. But something in the way the reports were coming in made her think that they might not have a choice. The pirates were getting bolder, and if they decided to attack the station, everyone would learn what humans were really capable of when the talking stopped and the fighting began. 3 weeks had passed since Lisa arrived at Veltar Prime. She had settled into a routine of training sessions, briefings, and studying alien combat techniques. The other officers had begun to respect her analytical skills and her ability to understand their technology quickly. But their basic beliefs about human fighting ability had not changed. Lisa stood in the observation deck, overlooking Training Bay 7. Below her, a team of Zephyrian shock troops was preparing for a room clearing. Exercise. The bay had been set up to look like a typical space station corridor system, complete with multiple rooms, narrow hallways, and various obstacles. Watch carefully, human, Sub-Commander Hexstar said as he joined her at the viewing window. You will see why the Zephyrians are considered the best assault troops in this sector. The exercise began with a sharp whistle. The Zephyrian team moved like lightning. Their scaled bodies seemed to flow through the corridors, weapons ready. They used their natural speed and strength to crash through doors and overwhelm the training dummies inside each room. Their thick skin protected them from the simulated defensive fire, and their sharp claws made them deadly, even without weapons. Lisa watched their technique carefully. The Zephyrians were aggressive and direct. They relied on shock and speed to win fights quickly. When they encountered resistance, they simply overpowered it with superior physical abilities. It was effective, but Lisa noticed something else. Their aggression sometimes made them miss details. They would clear a room fast, but sometimes they did not check every corner or hiding spot. Impressive, she said honestly. They cleared the entire complex in 4 minutes. 4 minutes and 12 seconds, Hexstar corrected with pride. That is a new record for this course. The Zephyrians are natural warriors. We have been fighting for thousands of years. It is in our blood. The next day, Lisa watched the Krill demonstrate their own clearing techniques. Their approach was completely different from the Zephyrians. Where the scaled warriors relied on individual strength and speed, the Krill worked as a perfect team. 6 Krill entered the training area together. They moved like parts of a single organism, each one knowing exactly where the others were at all times. When they encountered obstacles, they flowed around them like water. When they found enemies, they attacked from multiple directions at once, coordinating their strikes perfectly. Beautiful, is it not? Asked Clustermind Vexrin, the Krill officer who had become Lisa's guide to their techniques. We do not think as individuals. We think as one. No enemy can surprise us because we see from many eyes at once. Lisa nodded. The Krill had cleared the same course in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. They were not as fast as the Zephyrians, but they were more thorough. They checked every corner, every hiding spot, every possible ambush point. Their teamwork was flawless, but Lisa had noticed something about their technique too. The Krill relied on constant communication through their shared thoughts. They were always talking to each other in their minds, coordinating every move. If that communication was interrupted or jammed, their perfect teamwork might fall apart. Your species is learning much, Vexrin observed. But tell me, how do humans clear rooms? What is your technique? Lisa thought about it. We adapt, she said finally. Every situation is different, so we change our approach to match what we face. Adapt? Vexrin's head tilted in confusion. But that means you have no set method. How can you train if you do not know what you will do? We train to think, not just to follow patterns, Lisa explained. We learn to use whatever we find around. U.S. Vexrin made a clicking sound that Lisa had learned meant doubt. Thinking takes time. In battle, time kills. You must act instantly or die. Later that day, Lisa found herself in the mess hall with both alien species. The Zephyrians were boasting about their speed record, while the Krill talked about their perfect coordination. Both groups seemed to agree on one thing. Humans were too slow and too careful for real combat. The human thinks too much, said Commander Vexthiel as he sat down at the table. I have watched her study our techniques. She takes notes, she asks questions, she analyzes everything. But when will she act? Perhaps that is the human way, suggested one of the Krill. They make up for their physical weakness with planning and preparation. Planning is good, Vexthiel agreed. But what happens when the plan fails? What happens when there is no time to think? Then the human dies while the warrior lives. Lisa listened to this conversation without saying anything. She had heard similar discussions many times over the past weeks. The aliens were not trying to be cruel. They genuinely believed that humans were not suited for fast, aggressive combat. To them, humans were support troops, good for technical work and strategy, but not for the dirty business of actual fighting. Jake Morrison joined her at the table. Still listening to them debate our fighting abilities? He asked with a smile. They're not entirely wrong, Lisa said. We do think more than they do. We do take time to analyze situations. And that's exactly why we're more dangerous than they realize, Jake replied quietly. They think fast reactions and natural weapons make the best fighters. But humans became the dominant species on Earth, not because we were the strongest or fastest, but because we were the most adaptable. We learned to use tools to change our environment, to turn anything into a weapon. But they have a point about speed, Lisa said. In close combat, thinking can get you killed, can it? Jake asked. Or does it depend on what kind of thinking you're doing? They think we're slow because we don't charge straight at our enemies. But maybe we're not slow. Maybe we're just fighting a different kind of battle. That evening, Lisa was working late in her quarters when the alarm sounded. Not the sharp, urgent battle alarm, but the lower warning tone that meant potential trouble. She quickly dressed and headed to the command center. The main screen showed a display of the local space around the station. Several red dots were moving slowly toward them from the outer system. Pirates, according to the sensor readings. How many ships? Commander Vexthal asked. 12 confirmed, reported the sensor officer. Mixed classes, but all armed. They're still 6 hours away at current speed. Send a message to the patrol fleet, Vexthal ordered. Tell them to return immediately. Lisa watched the tactical display with growing concern. The station's patrol fleet was investigating reports of pirate activity in a nearby system. If the pirates were attacking now, it might not be a coincidence. Commander, she said carefully, what if this is a trap? A trap? Vexthal Elo. Eyes focused on her. Explain. The pirates send a distress signal from a cargo ship. Our patrol fleet goes to investigate. While they're away, the real attack comes here when we're undermanned. An interesting theory, Vexthal admitted. But even if true, we have sufficient defenses. The station has shields, weapons, and a full security force. 12 pirate ships. Cannot threaten us. What about infiltrators? Lisa asked. If they planned this attack, they might have smuggled people aboard supply ships over the past weeks. Vexthal considered this. Our security is thorough, but it is possible. We will increase patrols and check all restricted areas. As if. Responding to his words, the lights suddenly flickered. Then came the sound of explosions from somewhere deep in the station. The tactical display showed new red warnings. Internal security breaches on multiple levels. Infiltrators confirmed, reported the security officer. Multiple breaches in the lower sections. They're targeting power distribution and life support. Vexthal's expression hardened. So the human was right. This is a coordinated attack. He turned to Lisa with something that might have been respect. Your species may be slow to act, but you are quick to understand. Lisa said nothing, but she was thinking fast. The pirates had planned this well. They had studied the station's routines, found ways to get people inside, and timed their attack perfectly. This was not going to be a simple defense against external assault. This was going to be a battle for control of the station itself. In that kind of battle, the aliens might discover that human thinking was not a weakness at all. It was their greatest strength. The explosions grew louder and more frequent. Lisa could feel the deck vibrating under her feet as each blast shook the station. The command center had become a chaos of voices and flashing warning lights. Officers from different species shouted. Reports and orders in their own languages. Section 7 has lost power, called out a Zephyrian officer. Emergency lighting only. Life support is failing on level 5, added a Krill technician. The infiltrators hit the main processor. Commander Vexthal stood in the center of the room, his yellow eyes scanning the tactical displays. Red warning symbols covered the screen like a disease. The pirates had not just sent a few infiltrators. They had sent an army. How many are inside? He demanded. Unknown, came the reply from the security chief. At least 30, possibly more. They're using the maintenance tunnels and service areas to move around. Every time we send a team to stop them, they disappear. Lisa studied the display. showing the station's layout. The pirates were not moving randomly. They had a plan. First, they had attacked the power systems to create confusion and darkness. Then they had hit life support to force the crew to focus on survival instead of defense. Now they were moving toward the central core where the most important systems were located. They know this station, she said quietly. What? Vexthel turned to her. The pirates. They know the layout, the systems, the security procedures. This isn't a random attack. They've been planning this for months. Impossible, Hexstar protested. Our security is perfect. No one could study our systems without being detected. Unless they had help from the inside, Lisa suggested. Or unless they've been watching us for a long time. Another explosion rocked the station. This one was closer, somewhere on the same level as the command center. The lights flickered again, and several computer screens went dark. Sir, the communications? Officer called out. We're getting reports from the cargo bays. The pirates aren't just destroying things. They're stealing them. Medical supplies, weapons, computer cores. They're not trying to destroy the station, Lisa realized. They're trying to take it over. Vexthel's expression grew darker. A space station this size would be worth millions on the black market. The technology alone, ... He turned to his officers. All security teams, fall back to defensive positions around the central core. We will make our stand there. What about the patrol fleet? Asked the communications officer. Still 4 hours. Away, came the reply. The pirates timed this perfectly. Lisa watched the tactical display as the station's security forces began to retreat toward the center. The Zephyrian guards moved in small, fast groups, using their speed to stay ahead of the pirates. The Krill teams moved in perfect coordination, covering each other as they fell back, but the pirates were not giving them time to set up proper defenses. They pressed their attack, following close behind the retreating security forces. They had superior numbers and the advantage of surprise. Worse, they seemed to know exactly where the security forces would go. They're hurting us, Lisa said suddenly. What do you mean? Vexthel asked. Look at the pattern. Every time our people try to set up a defensive position, the pirates attack from an unexpected direction. They're forcing us to retreat along specific routes. They want us to go to the central core. But why? The core is the most defensible position on the station. Lisa thought about it. Unless they have a way to attack it that we don't know about. Or unless they want us all in one place for a reason. Before anyone could respond, the main screen flickered and changed. Instead of the tactical display, it now showed a face. The face belonged to a creature Lisa had never seen before. Humanoid, but with gray skin, black eyes, and sharp teeth. This was a Corphic, one of the most feared pirate species in the galaxy. Greetings, Station Commander, the pirate said in accented standard. I am War Leader Grixstak of the Corphic Brotherhood. Your station is now under our control. Impossible, Vexthel snarled. Your ships are still hours away. My ships, yes. But my warriors are already inside your station. They have been there for weeks, hiding in your cargo holds, your service tunnels, your waste processing systems. While you looked for threats from outside, we grew like a cancer within. The pirate's image smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. You have fought well, but it is over. Surrender now, and we will let most of your crew live. Resist, and we will kill everyone. Never, Vexthel replied. This station is under the protection of the Galactic Defense Alliance. We will not surrender. Then, you will die, Grixstak said. But first, let me show you how hopeless your situation is. The screen changed again. Now it showed internal security cameras from different parts of the station. In each view, Corphic warriors were destroying equipment, taking prisoners, or setting up defensive positions. They wore dark armor and carried weapons that Lisa did not recognize. "We control the power systems," Crickstack continued. "We control life support. We control the docking bays. Soon, we will control the central core. And when my fleet arrives, we will control everything." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in shocked silence. Lisa could see the fear in the alien officers' faces. The Korthik were not just pirates. They were professional soldiers who had turned their skills to crime. They were ruthless, organized, and very dangerous. "Status report," Vexthel ordered, his voice steady despite the circumstances. "We have maybe 40 security personnel left," reported the security chief. "The pirates have at least 60, possibly more. They control most of the station's outer areas." "What about the central core defenses?" "Still operational, but they won't hold long against a determined assault. The blast doors are strong, but the Korthik have military-grade cutting tools." Lisa looked at the tactical display. The pirates were closing in on the central core from multiple directions. They had split their forces into several groups, each one attacking from a different angle. It was a classic encirclement tactic. "How long until they reach us?" she asked. 15 minutes, maybe 20, came the reply. "And how long until the patrol fleet returns?" 3 hours and 40 minutes. Lisa did the math in her head. They had to hold the central core for over 3 hours against a superior force. The aliens were brave and skilled, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. "Unless something changed quickly, the station would fall. We need to slow them down," she said. "How?" Vexthel asked. "They control most of the station's systems. We cannot use the internal defenses against them." "We don't need the automated systems," Lisa replied. "We need to make them fight for every corridor, every room, every inch of space." "Our people are already fighting," Hexstar pointed out. "But the pirates have superior numbers." "Then we need to change the rules of engagement," Lisa said. "Instead of fighting them directly, we make the station itself fight them." Vexthel's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Lisa moved to the tactical display and began pointing to different areas. "The pirates are using the maintenance tunnels and service areas to move around. What if we make those areas dangerous? What if we turn the station's own systems into weapons?" "The environmental controls," one of the Krill officers said suddenly. "We could adjust temperature, atmosphere, gravity in different sections. And the power distribution," added a Zephyrian. "We could overload circuits, create electrical hazards." "Exactly," Lisa said. "We turn the station into a trap. Make every step dangerous for them." "But that would take time to set up," Vexthel pointed out. "And we would need access to the main control systems." "I can do it," Lisa said. "Give me access to the environmental controls in 30 minutes. I can make this station so dangerous that the pirates will wish they had never come aboard." Vexthel studied her for a long moment. "You are asking me to trust the safety of this station to human tactics that I do not understand." "Yes," Lisa said simply. "I am." The sound of cutting tools echoed through the walls. The pirates were getting closer. In a few minutes, they would break through the outer defenses and begin their assault on the central core. Once that happened, the battle would be decided quickly. Vexthel made his decision. "Do it," he said. "Show us what human tactics can accomplish." Lisa nodded and moved to the environmental control station. Her fingers flew over the controls as she began to reprogram the station's systems. She was not just adjusting temperature and atmosphere. She was turning the entire station into a weapon. The pirates thought they had won. They were about to learn that capturing a space station was one thing. Holding it against a determined human was something else entirely. The sound of cutting tools grew louder. Lisa could hear the high-pitched whine of plasma cutters working on the blast doors that protected the central core. The pirates were methodical and patient, taking their time to cut through the thick metal. They knew the station's defenders had nowhere to run. How much longer? Commander Vexthal asked the security chief. Maybe 10 minutes before they break through, came the reply. The outer blast door is almost gone. Once they get through that, the inner door won't hold them for long. Lisa continued working at the environmental control station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, adjusting systems throughout the station. She was not just changing temperature and air pressure. She was creating a network of traps and hazards that would turn every corridor into a battleground. What exactly are you doing? Hexstar asked, looking over her shoulder at the complex display. Making the station fight back, Lisa replied without looking up. The pirates think they control the systems, but they only control the main power distribution. The environmental controls are on a separate network. I can use them to create zones of danger throughout the station. Danger how? High-pressure atmosphere that will rupture their suits. Low-pressure areas that will cause explosive decompression. Temperature extremes that will disable their equipment. Electromagnetic fields that will interfere with their weapons and communications. Vexthal moved closer to watch. But won't that affect our people too? Not if I do it right. I'm tracking the location of all our security teams through their suit transponders. The hazards will only activate in areas where the pirates are moving. That sounds complex, one of the krill officers observed. It is, Lisa admitted. But that's what humans do. We make complex things work. The cutting sound stopped suddenly. The command center fell silent, except for the hum of machinery and the beeping of computer systems. Everyone looked at the main screen, which showed the corridor outside the central. Core, they're through the first door, the security chief reported, beginning work on the second. Lisa made a few more adjustments to her program. Ready, she announced. This station is now armed and dangerous. The pirates are about to discover that taking control of a space station is not the same as conquering it. The second blast door began to glow red-hot as the pirates worked on it. With their cutting tools, through the security cameras, Lisa could see them moving in the corridors outside. They were professionals, moving with military precision. Their dark armor covered them from head to toe, and their weapons looked deadly. There, she said, pointing to one of the camera feeds. Squad of 6 pirates moving through Section C. Watch this. On the screen, the pirates were advancing through a corridor that looked perfectly normal. But as they moved, Lisa's fingers danced over the controls. Suddenly, the corridor filled with a thick white fog. The pirates stopped, raising their weapons, and looking around nervously. Superheated steam, Lisa explained. Not hot enough to kill them through their armor, but hot enough to make their life support systems work overtime. In 5 minutes, they'll be exhausted and overheated. But they can just turn around and go back, Hexstar pointed out. Can they? Lisa asked. She made another adjustment, and the corridor behind the pirates filled with the same fog. Now they have to go forward, but they can't see where they're going. And in front of them, the camera showed the pirates stumbling forward through the fog. They were moving slowly now, trying to feel their way along the walls. They could not see the trap Lisa had set for them. The first pirate stepped on a floor panel that looked exactly like all the others. Immediately, the artificial gravity in that section reversed. The pirates found themselves falling upward toward the ceiling. They crashed into the metal surface, their armor ringing like bells. Localized gravity manipulation, Lisa said calmly. They're not hurt, but they're confused and disoriented. It will take them several minutes to figure out how to move in reverse. Gravity. Impressive, Vexthal admitted. But can you do that to all of them? I'm already doing it, Lisa replied. She pointed to other camera feeds. Throughout the station, pirates were encountering similar traps. Some found themselves in corridors where the air was too thin to breathe. Others discovered that the floor had become electrified, sending painful shocks through their boots. Still others walked into areas where the magnetic fields were so strong that their metal weapons were pulled from their hands. "You're not killing them," observed one of the Krill officers. "You're just slowing them down." "Exactly," Lisa said. "Dead pirates don't learn from their mistakes. Live pirates who are confused and scared make more mistakes." The second blast door was nearly cut through. The pirates had almost reached the central core, but Lisa was ready for them. She had saved her best trap for last. "All security teams, fall back to secondary positions," Vexthel ordered. "Prepare for close combat." The Zephyrian guards moved quickly to defensive positions around the command center. Their weapons were ready, and their yellow eyes gleamed with anticipation. They might be outnumbered, but they would not go down without a fight. The Krill formed their own defensive line, moving in perfect coordination. They had no individual names, but they fought as one mind with many bodies. Their combined tactics were flawless. Lisa remained at the environmental control station. "When they come through that door," she said, "I need 30 seconds. Can you give me that 30 seconds? Vexthel seemed doubtful. "Against armed pirates in a confined space? I don't need you to win. I just need you to survive for 30 seconds. The blast door finally gave way. It fell inward with a crash that echoed through the command center. Smoke and sparks filled the air as the pirates began to pour through the opening. They moved fast, their weapons firing streams of energy that lit up the room. The Zephyrian guards returned fire, using their speed and agility to dodge the incoming shots. Their natural reflexes were amazing, allowing them to move and shoot at the same time. But the pirates had superior numbers and better positions. The Krill fought differently, using their coordination to create crossfire patterns that caught the pirates from multiple angles. They worked together like a single organism, each one knowing exactly where the others were and what they were doing. But it was not enough. The pirates were too many and too well armed. They pushed forward, forcing the defenders back toward the command center. 20 seconds, Lisa called out, her fingers flying over the controls. A pirate's energy blast hit the wall next to Hexstar, leaving a smoking hole in the middle. The Zephyrian officer rolled to the side and returned fire, his shot catching the pirate in the shoulder. The armored figure stumbled but kept fighting. 10 seconds, Lisa announced. The pirates were almost to the command center now. Their leader, a tall Korthek with scarred armor, raised his weapon to fire at Commander Vexthal. The shot would have killed the Zephyrian commander, but one of the Krill officers threw himself in the way. The energy blast hit him in the chest, and he fell without a sound. "Now!" Lisa shouted dot. She activated the final trap. The air in the entire central core area suddenly became thick and heavy. Not poisonous, but dense enough to make breathing difficult. At the same time, the temperature dropped rapidly, causing frost to form on every surface. The humidity spiked, creating a fog so thick that no one could see more than a few feet. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was the sound. Lisa had activated every speaker in the central core at maximum volume, but instead of alarms or warnings, she had programmed them to produce a specific frequency that interfered with the pirates' helmet communication systems. The pirates found themselves blind, cold, struggling to breathe, and unable to talk to each other. They were trained professionals, but they had never faced anything like this. They began to panic, firing their weapons wildly in all directions. 30 seconds are up, Lisa announced. Now watch what happens when humans really fight. She stood up from the control station and walked toward the blast door. The aliens watched in amazement as she stepped into the chaos of the battle zone. The fog was so thick that she disappeared from view in seconds, but they could still hear what happened. Next, the sounds of combat continued, but they were different now. Instead of the random firing of panicked pirates, they heard precise, controlled actions. The sound of weapons being disabled, the thud of bodies hitting the floor, the click of restraints. Being applied in less than 2 minutes, the sounds of battle stopped completely. The fog began to clear, and the temperature returned to normal. The pirates' weapons lay scattered on the floor, but the pirates themselves were nowhere to be seen. Lisa walked back through the blast door, brushing frost from her uniform. She looked calm and relaxed, as if she had just finished a routine maintenance. "Check. Central core secured," she reported. "All pirates neutralized. No casualties among station personnel." The alien officers stared at her in stunned silence. Commander Vexthal was the first to find his voice. "Where are the pirates?" he asked. "Unconscious and restrained in the maintenance shaft behind the blast door," Lisa replied. "They'll wake up in a few hours with headaches, but they're not seriously injured." "How many were there?" 12 in the assault team. All accounted for. Hexstar looked through the blast door opening. The corridor beyond was empty. X. The next morning, Veltar Prime was quiet again. The pirate fleet had retreated when their infiltration team failed to respond. The captured pirates were being held in the station's detention center, waiting for transport to Alliance prison facilities. Life was returning to normal, but nothing would ever be quite the same. Lisa sat in the observation lounge, looking out at the stars through the large window. She held a cup of coffee in her hands, enjoying the familiar taste of something from Earth. The events of the previous day felt almost like a dream now, but the memory was clear in her mind. "Mind if I join you?" She turned to see Commander Vexthal standing in the doorway. The big Zephyrian looked different somehow. Less aggressive, more thoughtful. "Of course, Commander," Lisa said, gesturing to the chair across from her. Vexthal sat down heavily. For a moment, they both looked out at the stars in silence. Finally, the alien officer spoke. "I owe you an apology," he said, "and an explanation." "You don't owe me anything," Lisa replied. "We all did our jobs." "No," Vexthal said firmly. "You did much more than your job. You saved this station and everyone on it. But more than that, you taught us something important about your species." Lisa waited for him to continue. "For months, I have been telling anyone who would listen that humans are weak fighters. Too slow, too cautious, too thoughtful. I believed that real warriors needed to be aggressive and direct. I believed that thinking in battle was a weakness. And now?" Vexthal was quiet for a long moment. "Now I understand that there are different kinds of strength, different kinds of speed. When you walked into that battle, you moved faster than any of us could have. But you were not moving your body quickly. You were moving your mind quickly." "What do you mean?" "In the time it took you to step through that door, you had already analyzed the situation, identified the threats, planned your response, and begun executing your strategy. By the time the pirates realized you were there, you had already won." "The battle," Lisa sipped her coffee. "That's just how humans think. We process information quickly and adapt to changing situations." "Just how humans think," Vexthal repeated. "Do you realize how terrifying that is to other species?" Lisa looked at him with surprise. "Terrifying?" "Let me tell you what I saw yesterday," Vexthal said. "I saw a single human officer take control of an entire space station and turn it into a weapon. I saw her defeat a force of trained military specialists without firing a shot. I saw her capture 12 armed enemies in less than 2 minutes while they could not even see her. I had advantages," Lisa pointed out. "I knew the station better than they did. I controlled the environmental systems." "Yes, you had advantages. But do you know why you had those advantages? Because you had spent 3 weeks learning everything about this station. You studied our technology, our procedures, our tactics. You prepared for a situation that might never happen. That is not normal behavior for most species. What do you mean? Most species, including mine, learn what they need to know for immediate survival. We master our weapons, our natural abilities, our traditional tactics. But humans ... Humans learn everything. You study not just how to fight, but how to think about fighting. You prepare not just for one kind of battle, but for any kind of battle. Lisa thought about this. I suppose that's true. We do like to understand how things work. It's more than that, Vexthel continued. Other species have natural weapons, claws, armor, venom, strength. But humans have something more dangerous. You have the ability to make anything into a weapon. The air you breathe, the ground you walk on, the gravity that holds you down. All of it becomes part of your arsenal. Is that really so unusual? Very unusual. Most species fight with what nature gave them. Humans fight with what they can imagine. That makes you incredibly dangerous, because there is no limit to what you can imagine. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Lisa could see other station personnel moving about their duties through the window. Everything looked normal, but she knew that word of what had happened was spreading throughout the galactic community. Can I ask you something? She said finally. Of course. When you first met me, you said that humans think too much in battle. You said that thinking gets you killed. Do you still believe that? Vexthel considered his answer carefully. I have learned that there are different kinds of thinking. Most species think in order to choose between options. We see a threat. We consider whether to fight or flee. We make a decision. But humans think in order to create new options. You don't just choose between fighting and fleeing. You invent a third option that no one else considered. Like turning the station into a weapon? Exactly. When the pirates attacked, we thought. We had two choices. Fight them directly or hide behind our defenses. You created a third option. Make the station itself fight them. That kind of thinking requires a different type of mind. What type of mind? A human mind, Vexthel said simply. A mind that sees possibilities instead of limitations. A mind that adapts instead of just reacting. The door to the lounge opened, and several other officers entered. Hexstar was there, along with some of the Krill officers Lisa had worked with. They approached the table where Lisa and Vexthel were sitting. We heard you were here, Hexstar said. We wanted to speak with you before you leave. Leave? Lisa asked. Your assignment here is complete, Vexthel explained. The cultural exchange program has accomplished more than we ever expected. You have taught us about human capabilities far better than any training manual could have. We have written reports to our respective commands, one of the Krill officers added. We have recommended that human tactical doctrine be studied by all Alliance military academies. We have also recommended, Hexstar continued, that humans be given more prominent roles in Alliance defense planning. Your species has abilities that complement our own strengths. Lisa felt a mixture of pride and sadness. Pride that she had represented her species well, but sadness that her time on the station was ending. She had grown to respect these alien officers, even when they underestimated humans. There is one more thing, Vexthel said. The Alliance Command has offered you a permanent position here at Veltar Prime. They want you to establish a new training program that teaches other species about human tactical approaches. They want me to teach aliens how to think like humans? They want you to teach us how to see warfare the way humans see it, Vexthel corrected. Not as a contest of strength or speed, but as a problem to be solved creatively. Lisa looked around at the alien officers. These were beings from different worlds, with different biologies and different ways of thinking. but they were all looking at her with respect and genuine interest in learning. "When would this position start?" she asked. "Immediately, if you accept," Vexthal replied. "Your first class would be the officers who witnessed your performance yesterday. We are all eager to understand how you did what you did." Lisa smiled. "I accept. But I should warn you, thinking like a human is not easy. It requires you to question everything, to see possibilities where others see problems, and to be ready to adapt at any moment." "We are ready to learn," Hexstar said. "Good," Lisa replied. "Then let's start with the first lesson, the most dangerous. Weapon a human possesses is not strength or speed or technology. It's imagination. And imagination is something that any species can develop if they're willing to think differently." As the alien officers leaned forward to listen, Lisa began to explain the principles behind human tactical thinking. She talked about adaptability, creativity, and the importance of seeing every environment as a potential ally. Outside the window, the stars continued their ancient dance across the void. But inside the station, something new was beginning. For the first time in galactic history, humans were teaching other species not just how to fight, but how to think about fighting. And in the years to come, that knowledge would change the nature of warfare throughout the galaxy. Because once you learned to see the universe the way humans saw it, you could never go back to thinking of battle as simply a contest between natural abilities. You would always remember that the most deadly weapon in existence was a creative mind that refused to accept limitations. Lisa Grant had come to Veltar Prime to learn about alien warfare. Instead, she had taught the galaxy about human ingenuity, and that lesson would echo through the stars for generations to come.